And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast with the fresh cut that nobody else likes besides me. I love this haircut. But
So
Hitmaster
tell me about that.
is back. Thanks again for reminding me that we had to still record this today. But we got a pretty large topic list today. This is episode number 35 of the podcast. We got to recap Dover. A lot of stuff happened with Dover this weekend for the Xfinity and the Cup Series. We got a lot of random news stuff to talk about. And then, of course, at the end, preview Kansas. So, happy Cinco de Mayo for everyone out there. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Or because nobody celebrates Star Wars Day. This is also going up on Cinco de Mayo, so whatever. If you celebrate, happy. I don't know what I'd say, but
May the fourth be with you.
we're here to talk about NASCAR, not Cinco de Mayo. So let's jump right into it. First off, we'll review Dover. I didn't get to watch any of the Xfinity race. I don't know if you got to. But there was a first-time winner. Ryan Truex finally got in victory lane and got his first ever win in the Xfinity Series at the for Dover. So that's very impressive. If you don't know who Ryan Truex is, he's been around for a while. He had a Cup stint for a while with the failed 83 BK Racing team in like 2014. Did not do great at all. But hopefully this sparks finally something good happening to him. Kind of following the same path of Martin Truex, where kind of irrelevant for a little while, but finally wins. And maybe this will spark a renaissance in his career and he'll become a really good driver. Only time will tell, but it's still impressive nonetheless that he picked up a win at the Monster Mile. But that's all I'm going to talk about for the Xfinity race because we didn't watch it. So, and then for Cup, it was first rain postponement of the season. Surprised it took this long. But this was like what, the 50th year in a row that the Spring Dover race gets postponed to a Monday. It seems like every Spring Dover race always gets postponed to a Monday. The Spring Dover race is also now the only Dover race of the season, but still in the spring nonetheless. And a lot of people are complaining, ooh, move it back to June. Ooh, it's, rainy in the spring. You know what? In June it was getting delayed to Monday every year anyways. So just, how about this? Install lights at Dover so we can have night races. So when it rains during the day, they can run at night. Problem solved. But no, they won't do that. Well, probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually happens, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But anyway, I did not know this until the race. I don't know if you got to watch any of it. I don't know if you did.
I watched some of it. Of course, didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched like the last part of it.
I was very surprised to know that I didn't know this until going into the race that Rusty Wallace was back in the booth. He used to do the booth for ESPN back in like 2007, so that was really cool. I thought he fit really well into the broadcast booth with Mike Joy. It also exposed how bad Clint Bowyer is. Once again, exposed how bad he is as a commentator. How many times did they talk about the fact that qualifying was rained out, so they used the fucking metric system to determine qualifying, and that's how Kyle Busch got the pole? Just say it was based off of last week's finishing results, like it really was. Why did Clint Bowyer have to bring up the metric system literally every 5 minutes? Holy moly, I wanted to mute the TV because he would not shut up about the stupid stuff. Ah. But no, Rusty Wallace was good in the booth. He's not going to be in the booth for Kansas. It was confirmed, but maybe in the future he can get more races. We had some more controversy from our one and only friend Ross Chastain. And here's what I gotta say about it, because it came at the expense of Kyle Larson, and for the second week in a row he had a big crash. And I gotta say, that was all the fault of the 15 or the Rick Ware car. It was not in any fault of Chastain. He couldn't go anywhere. He can't really get on the brakes to be able to really avoid a crash like that. And you're getting raced by a lot. YouTuber by the name of Frisky Nixon used to do a series on his channel called Damned Lap Cars. Can you bring it back and put that clip in there? Because that was totally the lapped car's fault, not Chastain's. But sadly, it came at the expense of Kyle Larson ending his day. And I'm very indifferent about Kyle Larson, okay? But there were, I think, 5 cautions total in the first stage if you include the stage break and the competition caution, plus 3 other incidents. And then the second stage went caution free, and then we didn't get a caution again after the second stage until 14 laps to go. We got a yellow. That set up the final restart, which really put into play fuel mileage. I don't know, Dover has had fuel mileage before, but this was the first time in a while that I think it really came into play, where we saw multiple cycles of green flag pit stops, and we saw pit strategy really start to become a problem, because there was another big thing going into the weekend about the tires not holding up as well as they'd hoped. Apparently the practice tires were looking like complete shit coming off the cars, and they were really worried that they wouldn't even be able to make it like 20 laps without having to pit for tires. And I was getting Indy 2008 flashbacks when I started hearing that. Thankfully, though, it seemed like the tires held up really well, for the most part at least. And then, of course, it was a Truex sweep weekend with Martin Truex finally getting back into victory lane for the first time since Richmond in 2021, winning the race. He didn't have the best car all day. Kyle Busch had a really good car starting on the pole, gets a speeding penalty, was irrelevant most of the rest of the day. And then we saw some comers and goers, but Truex came on at the end and really closed it out big time. Chastain had a really good day. Byron was kind of up and down. Christopher Bell, too. Chase Elliott was mid-pack most of the day. Josh Berry in the 48, back in the Cup car, the 48. I thought he had a really impressive day, was up in the top 10 for a good amount of the race. I think still snagged a top 15. Kevin Harvick in his final Dover start was very irrelevant. Nothing to really show for him. He wasn't like abysmal. He was like very mid pack. He was had some showing. He looked like he might have had something to show for it at the end, and then kind of meandered his way back there. William Byron was, like I said, is a little bit up and down, but regardless, I did think it was an okay Dover race. It wasn't anything too spectacular, but we did see some pretty good racing. There was some pretty competitiveness for the lead, and also just the pass in general on the racetrack. It was nothing like extraordinary, but it's definitely far from the worst that we've ever seen at Dover. So, and plus Martin Truex Jr. wins again. I was pretty happy to see that. He's coming around to liking that guy over the years, and finally gotten back into victory lane. He's locked into the playoffs, I guess. You can call it locked in the playoffs. I don't know, but that was cool. So I don't know if you have any other thoughts about the Dover race you'd like to add on.
Blair sucks. Just that.
can agree to that. Can agree to that. I mean, we can all agree to that. That is a track I'd like to visit one day because I want to watch part of the race on that bridge, and I want to see the monster. Otherwise, anyway, that's it for Dover. Moving on. So there was a lot of throwback paint schemes that were announced over the course of the week. We'll get to those in a little bit. First off, we have to give condolences to the family of Michael Thompson. It was announced that he passed away from cancer. He was a big broadcast member for NASCAR for a long, long time. So they talked about that on the broadcast at the Dover race. I also saw it online. So tragic incident there. Very sorry, but condolences from us to you guys there. All right, let's talk about some throwback paint schemes because there was a lot. First off, Jeremy Clemens is going to be running a Jeff Bodine throwback for the Darlington Xfinity race. And honestly, that didn't look that bad, in my opinion. So that's cool to see. Carson Hocevar is going to be running a Dale Jarrett throwback in the Darlington truck race for the 42. It's going to be a throwback to specifically his UPS Flames ride, which I should have grabbed. I don't know where I have the diecast. The Flame diecast. I don't know where. It's under my bed somewhere. I don't feel like going to grab it, but that's what it's going to be. And honestly, that looks really cool too. I'm glad they're throwing back. That was a really good paint scheme. So I'm glad they're going back and throwing that one back. Another cup for the Cup race at Darlington. There will be another Dale Jarrett throwback run by Ross Chastain, and this one is going to be. It's going to be the normal UPS car from that same time period, like early 2000s. And that one looked really, really good. I was really happy with that look, so that'll be a cool one to see on the racetrack. Christopher Bell is going to be running a Matt Kenseth throwback at Darlington. That's going to be a throwback to his 2003 paint scheme, the one he won his championship with. Not really big surprise that they're doing a Kenseth throwback with the DeWalt sponsorship and whatnot. So, but that one also looks pretty cool. If you're a Matt Kenseth fan, might want to consider picking that one up online if you ever are looking for a diecast to buy. Alex Bowman is going to be running a Kevin Hamlin throwback at Darlington. So he will. I don't remember what that one looked like. But no, I do remember what the one looked like. So when I saw that paint scheme originally, I thought it was going to be a throwback to Davey Allison when he had the that would have been in like the late 80s, and that would have that look. But no, it's actually, and the colors are pretty much the same. So, but it was a surprise because it's actually Kevin Hamlin's Busch ride from like 2007, I think. So that's a pretty cool thing to throw back to. A little deceiving seeing it's
shit. I'm only taking this off for one time and one time only. Hold on.
Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
So if you can see it that well.
Yeah, that's what it is. I hope you can see the resemblance. But I still think it's cool that they're throwing back to Kevin Hamlin. Very cool. Alright, so other paint schemes here. Another Ross Chastain throwback. This one for the truck race at Darlington. He'll be doing a Lee Petty throwback. With the really vibrant baby blue colors. So that's really exciting. So that one also looked pretty cool to look forward to.
Alex Bowman, I was just say Alex Bowman surprised Kevin Hamlin with it. I guess.
Oh yeah, there's a video. I saw the Instagram video of that. So that's really cool. Only a couple more for at least the throwback paint schemes, but Noah Gragson's throwback is revealed. I don't know what it is. Can you look it up? I couldn't find out what the throwback is to before this Cup ride for 42. It looks pretty cool. Looks more on the patriotic side. So I'm pretty interested to see what it's like a throwback towards.
Why do people look this up? Noah Gragson's throw up.
Why? No.
Why?
Why would you look that up? Also, we got that funny haircut. Maybe that's why. Biggie bags, funny haircuts, and barf.
Noah Gragson brings back Jimmy Johnson's scheme. Which from the 2014 Coca-Cola 600.
Oh, the one you wanted. Oh, that's cool. Not the same race. You know, that
Here it
was
is.
at Charlotte and they're racing at Darlington. But okay. Okay. We'll go with that, I guess. 10 out of 10 picture. Okay, now that you mention what it's for, I can see the resemblance. That's a cool look. But again, why wouldn't you just do it at the 600 and not at the Darlington race? I know he's your owner, but like, whatever. I am not one to make decisions. Excuse me. I'm not one to make decisions for the Legacy Motor Club. They've been in the news this week for all the wrong reasons. Well, maybe not all the wrong reasons, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Alright, that's all of the throwback paint schemes that were announced for this week as well, by the way. So here's a... Get ready for this. NASCAR is thinking about going to the moon. Let that soak in.
So, what are we going to have? Space suits and we're going to race on the moon?
Yeah, this was a Forbes article that I read. So NASCAR and Leidos recently announced a partnership that could see elements of a future NASA Artemis lunar rover contain automotive design, manufacturing, and the experience of a NASCAR team, including branding on the surface of the moon. So basically, they're going to make a vehicle, like a NASCAR-themed vehicle, to go on the moon. And yeah.
I mean, now that I'm hearing it twice, that could be cool. But why?
Why is a good question. And why, in that, a good question that we do not have the answer to. Like, what has gone on in, like, the last 2 years where everybody just wants to go to the moon now? You got the money, they want to go to the fucking moon. Like, if you're going to go into space, first off, first off, okay, NASCAR going into space, and you could have raced on Saturn's rings. You could have done a race on Saturn's rings, and you don't do it. Instead, you get a sponsor a vehicle that goes up into the moon. Why? At least race on the moon. You could probably race around one of its craters or something. Do like a 90-lap race around it. I don't know, maybe build a road. The Chicago Moon Course or something like that. I don't know. Why? That was a blow me away when I saw that article. Sorry, I'm yawning. I'm so tired all of a sudden. Holy shit. That's what happens when you forget that you had to record the podcast for the week. Your body does not prepare for it. This was probably one of the bigger news pieces for the of the week. So Legacy Motor Club announced that they are switching manufacturers. They're going to be a Toyota manufacturer starting in 2024. Of course, that was Legacy Motor Club was originally Petty Enterprises, which was Dodge, before they switched to Chevy, and now they're going to Toyota.
They did have Ford at one point.
They did have Ford. But the difference between the manufacturers that I announced and Toyota is that Toyota is a foreign company. Now, they do have a lot of stake here in the U.S., and a lot of them don't see them as a foreign company anymore. But still, this is not going over well with a lot of people who are putting the blame on one person for this happening. They're putting the blame for this happening on one person and one person only, and his name is Jimmie Johnson. Okay? They think that the reason why they're switching to Toyota is because Jimmie Johnson ruined their image with Chevy, and so they can no longer work with Chevy. Which I think is kind of baffling, to say the least. It's weird that they're doing this, but because it is partially owned by Jimmie Johnson, who has only exclusively ran Chevys over the course of his career, even outside of NASCAR, and now they're going to be switching to Toyota. Fuck if I know. That was one of the weirder ones, but one of the crazier things I saw this week as well. But it will probably help with their performance. Though we have seen Chevy be the leading manufacturer this season. They always seem to be the leading manufacturer. But if you're not in Hendrick, then you probably got to start looking at other places, to be honest. So that's probably what their reasoning was going with this. So we'll see how it does to grow the team in 2024. Because they really haven't done that great this season. I mean, Noah Gragson had his moment of fame at Talladega and then wrecked on the last lap. Eric Jones has been pretty mediocre this season, with Gragson really not being that great overall. So, this is their time to go. We'll see. All part of the fun of the Legacy Motor Club. Still a really shitty name, but oh well. So there was not much in the penalty department post Dover. There was a couple things though. The Austin Dillon penalty that we talked about after Talladega. Or was it after Talladega? I don't know. Austin Dillon was getting a penalty, and that was post Martinsville, I think. Well, they attempted to appeal the penalty, but it got upheld. So no changes to that penalty whatsoever. Another penalty that was a new penalty that was enforced was Sammy Smith's crew chief was fined $5,000 after the Dover Xfinity race because there was a loose lug nut on the wheel in post-race inspection. So probably pocket change for that guy. Well, maybe not in the Xfinity series. but still probably pocket change overall. Okay. That was all the penalties for the week. Okay. So more sponsorship news. Bomarito, I'm gonna call it Bomarito Automotive Group is partnering with Ben Rhodes to sponsor the 99 truck for multiple races starting this weekend at Kansas. So there you go. And of course, it's not a Talking NASCAR podcast episode without something about the Chicago Street Course. Nothing major this week, except they have begun to do road closures. More road closures were announced, but that really not huge. I mean, they announced many of them already, but they did get a new sponsor. Olive by Coin Flip is now an official Chicago Street Course partner. Don't know what they are. Don't know what they do. Don't know why they're sponsoring this race, but there you go.
Jeffrey Earnhardt has a throwback.
And what is it?
Jeffrey Earnhardt will honor his grandfather Dale Earnhardt's iconic 1997 All-Star design at Darlington.
What was this 1997? Was that the Wrangler one?
That was that was when he was on the stereo.
Oh, the Wheaties car. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I liked that one. 96. What was the Wrangler one? Was that must have been 98. Or no, that could have been 99, I guess, as well. Oh well. One of those three. One of those two, man. I forgot a throwback paint scheme announcement. So Kevin Harvick's paint scheme, throwback paint scheme for the Darlington race was announced. It's got a lot of people pissed off, including me, because it's a throwback to the original ride that he was going to get before Dale Earnhardt died. You guys don't know this, because I had to do a little bit of digging. I had read this before, but I needed to refresh my memory on it. So there were plans for Kevin Harvick to come to the Cup Series go to the Cup Series around 2002. That was when he was supposed to go up to the Cup Series. Dale Sr. died, and they made his car Kevin Harvick's ride, and the rest is history. But the original plan was to have him come up to the Cup Series. I think it was around 2002. He was going to take the 30 car. Back in the early 2000s, the RCR rides were the 3, at what was planned to be the 3, the 31, and the 30. Harvick was going to get the 30. But instead, he got the rebranded Dale Earnhardt car as the 29. So, for Harvick's final throwback race in his final season, they decided to do a throwback paint scheme to what his original ride was going to be. Problem is, now the thing, NASCAR fans out there, diehard NASCAR fans, probably know what I'm talking about when I say the 30 car. The AOL paint scheme, the yellow and blue, and whatnot. It's a pretty distinct look. It didn't last very long. I mean, it was only there for 4 seasons, maybe 5. But it's still a very distinct look. But that is not at all what Harvick's ride looks like. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of this.
I know that Ryan Ellis is driving one of Kevin Harvick's cars. but instead of a good wrench, it's keen parts.
I can't find it. Let me pull up the Instagram. It was on the Stuart Haas Racing Instagram page. Oh yeah, here we go. What the fuck is that? Stuart Haas Racing? Can you explain to me what the fuck this is supposed to be? It's a Sunny Delight car. Was the original sponsor supposed to be Sunny Delight? Why do you have the AOL paint scheme grayed out in the back with Harvick's face on it if you want to be Sunny Delight? The colors do not match at all. You cannot get it to be the correct colors. Are we stupid? Here, I'll pull it up.
This is him at his moment where he doesn't like what's being shown.
So this is Jeff Green had the 30 car in 2002 when Harvick was supposed to drive it. This is what it looked. Hold on. This is what it looked like. Nowhere there do you see the word Sunny Delight or the color orange. Now I get AOL that like I think they probably don't even exist anymore. So you can't have AOL. But you can't have the fucking correct colors? Holy Moses. What an awful final paint scheme for such a legendary driver. Well, it's not his final paint scheme, and he does have a much more banger paint scheme for the All-Star race. It kind of evens it out. But why? Why? It's his final throwback race. And that's what you choose. Who was behind that, too? Gene Haas could have not been behind that. Tony Stewart could not have been behind that. God damn it, Kevin Harvick could have not been behind that. Who was... This was a... Alright. No more... Okay, no more about that. Screw that. Not talking about that anymore. My only other piece of news that I had, which came out today, time of recording this at least, the Rick Ware Racing 15 team, which will once again be driven by Brendan Poole at Kansas. The paint scheme is going to support one of their team members who was in a crash in September of 2020 that broke his vertebrae, and he's still recovering from that. So it's going to be in honor. The paint scheme is going to be in honor of him. So I think that's a pretty cool look too. Even if the car will finish like 34th. So that is everything that I need to sneeze.
So far, we see two teams in a very good sequence. But it was definitely a push last 5 and down. I'm not taking any risks.
I did not sneeze.
Mm.
That is all the news that I had. I don't know if there's anything about the Corgan Oil.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Actually, let's look at who all got added to the 75 greatest drivers list. So the new additions to the NASCAR 75 greatest drivers list as of May 4th. Sam Ard, who was a standout on the former late model sportsman circuit. He went to the NASCAR National Series in 1982, scored 22 wins in only 3 years. What's now the Xfinity Series. 2 consecutive championships in 83 and 84. He had a season end. He had a head injury at the end of the 1984 season that ended his racing career. But he became a team owner. In fact, one of his Jeff Burton won his first race in one of his cars. So that is really cool. Sam Ard, everybody. Another with Larry Phillips. He was a short track terror in the bull rings of the Midwest Missouris. Larry Phillips. He won a record 5 national championships in what is now known as the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. Okay, disclaimer, folks. The records documenting his success are incomplete. But from what the official NASCAR website says, he had 289 NASCAR sanctioned starts between 1989 and 1996. He won 220 of those starts. Holy shit. That is a lot. 220 wins out of 289 starts for a winning percentage of 76.1. That includes 13 track championships in 3 states. Holy shit. That is really good. But again, incomplete documents. Could be a little bit of misinformation there. If you want to get complete documents, I don't know. I'll take their word for it. I don't really care. 2 other drivers that are very well known. Brad Keselowski made it onto the list. And also, just after winning the Cup Dover race, Martin Truex Jr. also got onto the list. So that's really good. I think they are both definitely deserving of being on the list. So I'm glad that they got there. So congratulations. Those were the new additions as of May 4th. Next week is the last week for new additions to the list. And then they're going to honor all 75 of them at Darlington. So we will, hopefully the complete list is pretty much all set to go by the next episode, and we can go over. We'll read off the full list, and we'll do a fun thing there. So that'll be cool. But otherwise, that's everything that I had for this. I don't know if you had anything else news-wise, Hitmaster, about stuff you're doing or what you're going on, or...
No, Corgan Oil is kind of still the same as always, so maybe next week they'll have something different, since next week will be the Bus Figure 8.
Oh, yeah, it's starting up. Season's starting up soon.
So,
are you going?
I will not, because I'll be with my sister. So,
I won't be going either. I don't think. Yeah, but can I go? I might be able to go, but I don't think I am. We'll see. Because they're doing like 3 of them this year, so try to get to one of them, but probably not to that one. What was I going to say? Did you order that William Byron diecast?
I have not.
You were supposed to get on it.
Right, I'm ordering it right after this.
Okay. This is the last podcast episode before my 20th birthday, by the way. I do plan on ordering at least one diecast after my birthday. So if I do, or which ones I get, I will mention on the next episode. I plan on, like I said, getting at least one. I don't know what one I'm going to get. I'm just going to see what they got and kind of roll from there. So that'll be pretty cool. Shit, I don't even remember what else was I going to say. God damn, I hate forgetting what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. Shit. Damn. That's unfortunate. Did you end up ever actually looking into working at Corrigan Oil Speedway?
I did, and it's only a summer job that doesn't even pay well, so
Ooh, what's the pay? Is it minimum
it's
wage?
like
Probably.
I think they said like $12 an hour.
That's not horrible. I mean, you're only working like 6 shifts because there's only like 6 races, but for $12 an hour, $12 an hour is not that bad. All things considered, that's what I'm making on my job. So, both of my jobs. I have 2 jobs now, and they both pay the same. One of them's got a little bit better hours than the other, though. Just a little bit, though. Well, unless you got any other things that you wanna bring up or mention, I guess we can talk about our final piece, which is our Kansas preview. I think all 3 series are running this weekend. Let me just do something real quick. I'm gonna make sure it's all 3 series. I'm gonna preview all of them. No. Okay, no Xfinity. Truck and Cup. That is it. This weekend. So. Cool. So first, the trucks. I mean, Kansas as a whole. Talk about this. As we know, it's not really been the greatest track consistently. Definitely been more of a fuel mileage racetrack. And I don't see that really changing at all here, either in trucks or in the Cup race. But Kansas has always been kind of a dark horse track for some really good racing, too. We've seen some really good races there over the years. And I also expect to probably see a little bit of both. Good fuel mileage, but also probably some good racing as well. So, but again, it could really be a toss-up as far as who gets the W. So, start with our truck predictions on who we think is gonna win. I gotta figure out who I'm even gonna pick. You go first.
I have to get the leaderboard up. Where are you at? Come on. Not what I wanted. There it is. Let me go with Eckes.
Christian Eckes. Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all. All right, I got my pick. His name is W. Sandwich. Let's take a look at who this is. The number one truck. William. Oh, that's not Sandwich. William Sawalich. William Salowich. That is my And the number one truck for, I think, Thor Sport Racing. But yep, that's who I'm picking to win the truck race. Totally not a bad prediction. They are totally not 33rd in the points right now. So definitely a lock for a victory there. Place a bet on it. I'll be getting the big payday right away. But no, we have a little fun here though. So there you go. And then we got the Cup race too. You want to break out the hat, Hitmaster? Hello.
Oh, sorry.
You want to break out the hat? It's time to talk about our cup predictions. Why did I say cup or predictions? How do you even do that? How do you even cup a prediction? Do you just go like that? Just do you like this, or do you put it in like a cup like this? I don't know. Let us know in the comments.
Alright. Is it only truck and Xfinity today?
Only truck and cup. There's no Xfinity. They're back at Darlington. Hitmaster gets William Byron. That's a good pick. Solid pick there.
As I drop some.
Selective choice. And I get Kyle Busch. It's
Two
funny.
decent picks, actually.
Those are two really good picks for this season, because those are honestly probably the two best drivers over the course of the season so far, overall. I guess you could kind of throw Kyle Larson into the mix, but not really. It's more airing towards Kyle and William Byron, but Kansas for the longest time was Kyle Busch's kryptonite. He could not win or even really finish well at Kansas at all until 2000, and I think he finally won there in 2018 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. He has won there now though, so finally broke that curse. But for the longest time, he would always crash there. He would always blow a motor. He would always wreck, finish horribly. He could just never win. It was kind of funny, honestly. But those days are long gone. So hopefully we're not keeping track of these. We're not keeping track of our predictions, by the way, and just have a score system going down. They're just for fun to keep the content rolling, but I don't know. Maybe next year we'll start up a point system. I feel like I said that last year too. I said, next year we'll all start up a Talking NASCAR group point system. And then one of our group members dropped out of the podcast, and we also forgot. So anyway though, so that's going to do it then. Unless there are no more points to add, that's going to end it for this episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. And that's going to do it again for this video. We will be back next week to recap Kansas, preview the Darlington Throwback Weekend, maybe a diecast, maybe not, to show off. We'll see. But there will be plenty of fun new stuff. Hopefully. We'll see. It should be fun, though. But we're always looking forward to having guests on this podcast. And if you would like to be a guest, just go join the Pringles Sun & Company Discord server. The link is in the description. And I know that for a fact now. The link is in the description. So go join. There's no excuse now. You got to go join. You can DM me or one of the mods for the Talking NASCAR role. We will give it to you. In fact, I think you can actually just react to get the role yourself. You don't even have to ask us, and then you'll gain access to the channel, and we will set up a time for you to come on. So that should do it now, and get it set up for you. So, but otherwise, it's gonna do it for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content from me and this guy right here. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Goodbye.